we welcome you here to Hornet
Again.
Radio as I am Ryan Osborne trying to give you an intro of what is essentially a Grammy preview.
I mean, are intros really important anymore?
Yes, absolutely.
I think we've done enough stuff. I don't think we need it. We should just jump into the content. They'll figure it out. There's a title. There's a thumbnail. Why are we doing intros?
But we have Lily Mashburn, who is going to be our producer for today. Joseph Pavlenko over to my left. I'm Ryan, and El Viejo is over to my right as we get set for this Grammy preview. And what we think should be the winners for the 68th Grammy Awards.
Bad Bunny, Bad Bunny, Bad Bunny, Bad Bunny.
That will be held on February the 1st. So this is just going to be mainly what we're going through the categories. We're going to give you what category we're talking about, and we'll also give you who the nominations are, the finalists, and who we think should win. So we're not predicting who we think will win. We're saying who we think should win based off what our opinions are.
We're in our fields, and we will be going through all 176 categories, right?
That's true.
Approximately
yes, exactly.
173.
So what you're saying is there's no winners in this one and there's no losers in this one.
No, we said that there's
I'm
no
feeling
winners.
deprived.
There's
I mean, you can be more right or you can be less right.
Yeah, that's true. Exactly.
Okay, thanks.
So that brings us to category number 1. That
Call
is
me Nostradamus.
Record of the year. And for Record of the Year, there's a distinction between Record of the Year and Song of the Year. This is mainly how well this or how popular this song ended up being. If you include the charts, include how well it sold, and then also how well it was able to be played across different stations and how much it streamed as well. That's what this Record of the Year is. So...
So I'm like the Record of the Year of Hornet Radio?
In 1954.
Okay, thank you.
So you go with DTMF from Bad Bunny, Man-Child by Sabrina Carpenter, Anxiety by Doechii, Wildflower by Billie Eilish, Abracadabra by Lady Gaga, Luther by Kendrick Lamar with SZA, and The Subway by Chappell Roan, and APT by Rosé and Bruno Mars. So those are our selections, or the nominations, finalists, if you will. I will start off with Lily. You go Record of the Year in category number 1.
Well, after listening to all of these with you guys, I would have to choose Luther by SZA and Kendrick. I feel like this album was really standout, but also this song specifically. A lot of times when watching like baseball and especially like Dodgers games, I heard this song a lot, and this is standout to the community, I feel like. And also just like, I feel like the whole album and this song is like a love letter to like LA, California. So as someone from California, I really like this song. And I don't know, I just love when SZA and Kendrick collaborate.
So Lily's saying winners like Kendrick Lamar.
Yeah, winners like Kendrick Lamar and the 2-time World Series champion, defending World Series champions. Joe, I'll bring it over to you. Who's your pick for category number 1?
So I was looking at this list, right? And my daughter loves APT with Rosé and Bruno Mars. The Subway, Chappell Roan, Luther by Kendrick Lamar and SZA. First time hearing it today. And then we have The Lady of Gaga. Billie Eilish a little slow. Don't like the sample of Anxiety because it gets me excited for a song that never actually plays because of the sample, and I'm an old man. DTMF from Bad Bunny. I liked the beat. I liked the rhythm. But as the song progresses, it just makes me want to hear like a Creepy Nut song because I feel like it's got a similar vibe. So I'm going to have to go with Man-Child from Sabrina Carpenter.
Sounds good. So Man-Child gets 1, and then Luther gets another. Mark, I'll bring it over to you.
Well, first of all, I'm feeling down in the dumps because I just realized that everybody that's at Dodger Stadium and 2 of the people in this booth have absolutely no taste whatsoever. So
they said the lunch tastes fantastic today.
It's just Joe and I discussing this. You know what I did?
You also a cart man then?
Huh?
So are you also a cart man?
No.
Oh, well.
Okay.
So much for taste.
I was looking at Billie Eilish, but I've got to go back. Ronnie Dickinson, I got to go back. I told the story to Lily earlier about Lady Gaga. We watched some of Lady Gaga stuff. Some was very interesting today, but she's multi-talented. I think she's a forerunner in the world of music because she is that musician, that singer, and that writer that works hand in hand all together. Not necessarily everybody does that anymore. As far as Bad Bunny's going on, we all laughed when his song started and sort of stared at each other and went, and there was a remark, not by me, by somebody else in this group, that it could be a long Super Bowl halftime with that performance going on. So I like my pick. I think I have a very talented woman who can cover all genres as a performer, and that's why I picked her.
So I'll switch it up and I'll say, I had to look at these awards and basically take out my own personal bias because there's a lot of names on here that I just can't stand listening to on a personal basis. However, if you're listening to these songs as a just, take it as a person who would be putting down a vote, who would be thinking of these awards in the context of what they're trying to bring. I had to go with Luther, Kendrick Lamar with SZA because of just the time that it came out. It dominated, just completely dominated. There was absolutely no other contender around that 3-month span from when Luther came out to when I believe it was the Subway ended up taking over. Then the Subway ended up going up against Manchild, Anxiety, on and on and on. But for me, Luther just completely dominated the charts at the time. I think it's a really good track. I like Kendrick Lamar. That's where my personal bias comes in, is that I personally like Kendrick Lamar. But whenever he does team up with SZA, it's really good. They've got 4 different songs that are team up between the two, and I like each and every one of those 4. The other selection I would have gone with is the Subway. Not a big Chappell Roan fan, but I kind of like that song.
Okay.
So that finishes it for category number 1, which brings us to category of the year, category number 2. And that is album of the year. So album of the year, very similar to what you heard in terms of names from category number 1. You've got Bad Bunny on there. Kendrick Lamar is also on there. Sabrina Carpenter there as well. But officially, Bad Bunny, Debí Tirar Más Fotos, in addition to Swag from Justin Bieber, Man's Best Friend by Sabrina Carpenter, and Let God Sort 'Em Out by Eclipse, Pusha T, and Malice, joined by Mayhem with Lady Gaga, GNX by Kendrick Lamar, Mutt by Leon Thomas, and Chromacopia, by Tyler, the Creator, which also had a really big release over at the Intuit Dome when it came out earlier this year, or this last year as well. So I'll actually switch the order, kind of like a snake draft. I'll switch the order of who gets to reveal their picks. For me, it's going to end up being GNX by Kendrick Lamar. When that came out, it dropped 6 different songs out of the 11 that were on that album that just absolutely blew up. You have Dodger Blue on
Unbiased.
that. You have TV Off. Look. Impartial because of how many songs on that album. Stop the count immediately. Kendrick Lamar ended up with 6 different songs off of that, charting inside the top 10. TV Off, Dodger Blue. Then you also go back to the song that we were just talking about. Luther was also on there. There's a couple more that ended up being on his halftime show. For me, it's GNX, and it's not close.
Yeah, I'm. You know what? I'm gonna go with the Beeb. We know he's gonna be on the Grammys.
Beeb.
The Beeb, Justin Bieber.
Someone
the Beeb.
has Bieber fever.
Yeah.
The Beeb.
Oh,
he's gonna be on
We're
there.
back in 2012.
And, yeah, he's gonna be back on the Grammys. And again, I like what he does. I do like his music. I do like what he does. He's a good performer. He's got variety with everything he does, and he's got this new album, Swag, coming out. That when you look at it, Dylan Wiggins, one of the producers, has done very well in the music industry over the years. So when you look at who he's got as his team putting this album together, this is a total package, not just him, but his group of engineers that he came out and had working on this too. When you look at Josh, who was out there, and Felix Burns, 2 of the engineers for him who have been with his record company and have done the mixing on most of his albums, has done a very good job.
Joe, I'll bring it to you.
He did his research.
Yeah. Okay. He loves the Biebs.
The Beeb, baby.
Bieber fever is what?
JB.
It's
Yeah.
back.
All right, I'm done. We're gonna go with man's best friend. I'm going to double down on Sabrina Carpenter.
Sounds good. So Sabrina Carpenter is Joe's pick for album of the year. Lily, how about you?
Okay, I gotta say, Jack Antonoff worked on both of these albums, and I love them both. Man's Best Friend is really good. I love it, like, front to back, but I think GNX is the better album, and especially more defining for the year. I feel like I'm copying Ryan, but yeah.
I was going to say, this is a good list from Lily so far. This is a very good list.
It's just, I don't know, it's very standout. I mean, I think most people who did watch the Super Bowl remember who performed there, right? Kendrick, and, TV Off was one of the big ones. And not only that, but you have a lot of, like, songs that were, popular moments between Kendrick and Drake, stuff like that. But I also will say my second pick would have been Justin Bieber's Swag. You have Dijon on there, who is very popular upcoming artist who worked really well with Bieber, bringing him into 2025, bringing the new music. So I don't know. I just think it's really great that Justin Bieber is not just stuck in one pop sound, but he can evolve and make his own music.
This is why the Jedi Council always had odd numbers.
So that way you can break up any ties?
Not that there is a tie, but...
So if I switch it over, so if I'm not mistaken, that should bring us to category number 3. So Mark goes Swag by Justin Bieber, Joe goes Man's Best Friend, Sabrina Carpenter, and both myself and Lily go GNX by Kendrick Lamar. So that brings us over to Song of the Year, which has a little bit of a different distinction. This is actually going to be awarded to the songwriters who came up with the lyrics for these songs. So Record of the Year is more for the song itself, how it charted, how popular it was, how much it dominated the airwaves. This is more for lyrical ingenious.
Tough word, huh?
Well, I was mixed up between lyricism, lyricist, and lyrical. As our monitor turns off mid-podcast. So that brings us over to the other side.
Are we just sitting on the 405 right now?
We're sitting on the 405 trying to get things rolling once again. But
how come we got no picture?
If you take a look at Song of the Year, that ends up bringing...
Oh, yeah, that's great. I got to look 50 feet away. I'm old, for God's sake.
So we've got Abracadabra by Lady Gaga, Henry Walter, Andrew Walt. Anxiety by Doechii. APT is going to go to Rosé and Bruno Mars. DTMF by Bad Bunny. In addition to Golden, which ended up getting a lot of airplay by, technically it's officially from K-pop Demon Hunters because that's where it ended up being popularized, but that's not the people who ended up doing the script writing for that or the lyricism or the lyrics for that. And then they're also joined by Luther from Kendrick Lamar with Manchild by Sabrina Carpenter and Wildflower by Billie Eilish. So that brings us to Song of the Year, which we will go right back to Lily.
And once again, I apologize. This will be repetitive, but I will have to go with Luther. I just think the wordplay is really good. It's very catchy. I love listening to it. I think it's a song that a lot of people can memorize. And although maybe not like a certain hook, but just people really like this song, and so do I. But my second choice would have been Wildflower by Billie Eilish. This song is about her ex's ex-girlfriend, which, if you know who she is, she owned a company called Wildflower Phone Cases. So I just think it's very interesting, like the way she kind of nods to who it is and everything else she talks about in the song, how she feels guilty for being with him, even though she was friends with her before. So,
and here's where you start to get into the biases of what each person listens to, because I'll be completely honest. Good lyrics, I was ready to fall asleep. That song is absolutely abhorrently boring to me. And I am not afraid to say that. Billie Eilish has a lot of good stuff in her discography. Mm-hmm. To me, I think that's a fairly weak one that she put up for nomination, if that makes sense.
That's valid. That's valid.
No disagreements from either of you two?
Well, I was just going to say, I mean, there's a lot of albums that you probably listen to that all of us in here would go,
yeah,
my God, that's what you listen to?
Exactly.
What's wrong with you? I mean, everybody's got, that's what makes music sort of fun, because we'll all sit around here at Hornet Radio, and when we listen to new music, Joe will put it up to the group many times to see it's up there. you can, if you were to watch a video while we were doing that, you would watch Ryan Osborne on the other side in front of his screen drop his head or turn around. Lily would be chuckling from behind because of his reaction. And Joe and I have sat together and listened to things and then had Ryan come in the next day. Lily, Joe and I both said, this is really good, or this artist is really good. Ryan listens to 4 notes and goes,
This sucks.
No, this sucks. That's it. I'm done. So it just shows you, once again, 2 of us have taste, and then you have to have that last one that doesn't have any, because you have to have somebody in the room you can play on, look at, and say, the reason you don't like that song is because Ryan Osborne programmed that day here on Hornet Radio.
So that brings us over to Joe.
What a preamble. Holy cow. See, my runner-up was going to be Golden. I think it's poppy. I think it's catchy. I think it's a good song. But lyrically, I don't know if it has the same chops as something like Wildflower from Billie Eilish. And if we're talking about lyrics from an artist that I'm familiar with that I like, I think that, in my mind, is what's got the chops to take something like Song of the Year.
You know, and I went with Golden because Ryan brought up, and you brought up, Joe, especially you, when we were talking about artists, and you said to me, Mark, hey, what is it? You keep calling this show business because it's a business. This caught on. This was a worldwide movement on this song, and so that's why I took it, because it was all about popularity, and that's why I took it as a song.
Well, and that made someone's career, I believe. One of the lead actresses in the movie, I think, wrote the song and got a lead vocalist role in the movie, but never had whatever they thought it was that made a K-pop star back home. And this kind of launched her music career.
So Mark goes Golden. For myself, here's where I'm just going to eviscerate this entire list. Abracadabra sounds like something that would have come out in 2012, back when Lady Gaga was relevant. Anxiety is a terrible song. She rhymes anxiety with anxiety on 8 separate occasions. That's A, lazy, and B, it's just a ripoff of a much better song that came out in, I believe, 2014.
So when Lady Gaga was relevant.
Even before then. That's how bad Abracadabra is that Lady Gaga was relevant before then, and her relevancy stopped before that song came out, and they're covering a song that's over 10 years old. Anxiety is awful. APT is actually a very catchy song. I don't think it really gives you very much in terms of lyrics, but it's a very catchy song, so I will give them that. Bad Bunny I can't stand listening to at all whatsoever. But that being said, this is one of his better written songs. It actually has meaning as opposed to most of his stuff. Golden, I just don't think stands up lyrically. Manchild is very good. Wildflower, like Lily was talking about, has a lot of meaning behind it, a lot of context behind it. I think it's good. My 3 choices would have been Luther, Manchild, Wildflower in that order. But in this case, I go with Luther because I just think that the lyrics are better than each of those 2 other songs. That's my personal pick. Which brings us to Best New Artist. Mark, I'm going to bring it over to you to start us off.
Well, I'm going to go with Alex Warren. I was fortunate enough to see the story behind him, which is just amazing. If you know nothing about this young man, go check the backstory on what his life was like, and the journey he took to get where he is today is inspiring, to say the least. And it's one of those things where everybody just looks at themselves and goes, oh, woe is me, life is so tough, I'm never going to succeed. This was an individual that never gave up on himself, never gave up on the bad situations that he was in, trying to find the good in all of them. He had people that stuck with him, and at the end, he got to reimagine his dream, and in doing his song, his dream became exactly that. He is now a musician. He's going to be at the Grammys. He was nominated. I got to tell you, inspiration alone makes me pick him as the best new artist.
Let's swing it to Joe.
So, kind of in a similar vein to Mark, I'm a fan of Addison Rae, but I don't think she's the best new artist. Really liked Somber, so much so that I put one of the songs on the station this past year. But I feel like Alex Warren had a moment, and he's still having a moment. similar but different to Golden, right? The songs hit differently. They're catchy in different ways. They're impactful and meaningful in different ways. But I think everybody agrees kind of universally that the dude has something. Going back to Mark and show business Adams, right? He has that X factor, and whatever that X factor is, aside from grit, or as Corey Nayland would say, get-to-itiveness, and not giving up atosity. I'll leave the making up words to Corey from now on. But he's got that, the X factor. I'm gonna stop talking now.
No, that's very fair.
Jenny, c'est quoi?
I was going to say. So that brings it to myself for Best New Artist. Looking at the list, Lola Young, I think, had one good song with Messy that ended up going super viral, but I didn't really have any use for it. I think Alex Warren was very good. He had 3 different songs. 1 went viral. 2 are very good in his top 5. Leon Thomas, I had honestly nothing for. I listened to a couple of his songs and just couldn't get it. Addison Rae, she had Diet Pepsi. That, of course, went very popular on TikTok and also Instagram because that is the platform that she came off of. She came off of being a TikTok star, got into more of the music aspect because she felt that music was going to be more of her avenue to stay relevant rather than TikTok, because she felt that TikTok can be very fad-like, where one day you're huge, you're the biggest creator in the world, next day it's someone else who's doing something completely different than you. So I think she was good. I'm not a big fan of the Marias, and Cat's Eye with Gabriella I don't have much use for. So it came down to Olivia Dean and Somber for me. And Olivia Dean's 3 songs that are really popular right now, Man I Need is one of them, is really good. Lyrically, it's really good. It's also extremely catchy. I've seen a lot of guys, especially in locker rooms that I play in, because for those who don't know, I play recreational hockey. And usually you go into a locker room and you're expecting heavy metal and you're expecting punk rock and you're expecting stuff like that. I've actually heard it in guys' locker rooms being played. So Olivia Dean is not my pick, but she is one of the 2 that I've really looked at and said, this is a good artist that we can watch for quite a while, but my pick goes to Somber. Don't love how he ends up producing music, very similar to something that Lily said off the air. Somber, he picks songs based purely off of how well a little 30-second clip goes on his TikTok. And I hate that because there's no real artistry in that per se. But the issue is that the songs that he does produce are bangers.
That's how people judge music, man.
Yeah.
Like Mark said, you get 4 notes into a song.
Yeah,
my other question.
So it's like looking at resumes at this point, to be honest.
Olivia Dean, do you think maybe she just didn't pop off early enough or drop an album early enough or single early enough this year to catch up to the momentum that somebody like Alex Warren already had? Because name's completely fresh to me until today when we gave her a listen.
I think it's actually flipped.
Really?
I think that she didn't have something late enough. Because if I remember right, and Lily, you can correct me if I'm wrong, I remember hearing Olivia Dean's stuff start really popping off around May, June-ish.
Yeah, it was like middle of the year.
Yeah, and I didn't hear much from her in the latter part of the year, but I heard a lot from Alex Warren, and I heard a lot from Somber. Yeah, and so I think it's more recency that flips it around.
Recency bias?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. And yeah, Somber, the one that I really like is Undressed. I really like that one. Back to Friends is also really good, but Undressed is just, if you've ever been in a breakup, that like few moments or few weeks before it actually happens where you're thinking to yourself, okay, I've got to hit a reset button and I really don't want to. He goes through all those emotions with you as you're going through the song, and I like his top 3. I really do. That brings us over to Lily.
I have the same kind of thinking as you, Ryan. Who I want to choose is Olivia Dean. I love her music. Like, from the moment that she released that album, I've been streaming it, listening to it. I mean, she's even so big that she, like, I think, like, her last tour, she was playing smaller venues, but this time, Crypto Arena, right? And I tried to get tickets, and it immediately sold out. So that tells you she is, selling tickets. People are listening to her. But at the same time, I don't think she has the impact as some of these other artists have. She's more of a artist to look out for, but not best new artist yet. So the person I'd have to go with is Somber. he's not my favorite person, but music-wise, I think his music is very catchy, and when I hear it, I just can't help but sing along or listen to it. So, and he had like over 5 songs that went pretty viral, so I'd have to choose him.
See, Lily's list is fantastic so far. I have no qualms with that list, mainly because it looks exactly like my list.
I was going to say, you know.
Now, if you're copying someone's homework,
I
you
was
should
going to
change
say,
that
you know,
couple-
what do you guys
point.
have, a cheat sheet or something? Are you giving signals? Here. Okay.
Pretty
All right,
sure,
okay.
though, like I said, I think Somber and I think Undressed is the song. And
Yes,
it
you are
is in the library, and we are giving it spins here on Hornet Radio.
Yeah, absolutely. Which gives us an opportunity to say that if you would like to listen to more of Hornet Radio, of course, you're listening to this right now either anywhere that you get podcasts or also on our YouTube page. But if you are on our YouTube page and you'd like to listen to more of live Hornet Radio, you can hear more of Somber and Undress, go to our website, which you can see in the links below in the description for this preview. So we stay with Lily. Lily, I'm going to bring it over to Best Pop Solo, and you'll have to give me a second because it takes me a while to actually go down and scroll to where we need to be. But category number 7 for the Grammys is Best Pop Solo Performance. You have Daisies by Justin Bieber, Man-Child by Sabrina Carpenter, Disease by Lady Gaga, and The Subway by Chappell Roan with Messi and Lola Young.
So could somebody pass the mayonnaise? Because I got to eat the sandwiches in front of me every time he says Subway.
Well, I mean, my choice will be great for you then, because I will go with The Subway by Chappell Roan.
Lily's list is fantastic.
Made me hungry, that's for sure.
I think her voice is really great on this song. I just love the change in pace too, and it tells the story, you know. I'm not like the biggest fan of her because I don't listen to all her music, but when she does put out a song that gets popular or kind of goes around, I always tend to listen to it, and this is one of those.
We'll swing it over to Joe.
Similar to Lily, I liked Subway, but like we were talking about off the air, like you mentioned, Ryan, it almost feels like a song within a song. It's almost like when we get off topic and we have a podcast within a podcast. And for a pop solo performance, I'm leaning more towards Justin Bieber's Daisies, which is kind of moody, and I like it. But because it's moody, I don't know if it's got that, like, pop vibe, right? I think pop and I think high energy, maybe, and it's just me thinking stereotypical, like, bubblegum pop, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's making me lean more towards Man-Child from Sabrina Carpenter.
I'll bring it to you, Mark.
Well, I'm going to go with the Beeb one more time, and I'm going to do it because the Beeb. I'm going to do it because Lily brought it up that he's got a different feel, he's got a different style, and to be a great musician, you have to have versatility as a vocal performer. And Joe, when you talked about the pop vibe, I like the moodiness of the song, and it's like when you describe pop. If I said to somebody in the room here, or to all three of you, what is pop? I'm sure I'd get 3 different definitions of what you think pop is. And if we went to people that knew the music industry, we might get 3 more different definitions from you sitting there. So because the moodiness and everything's there, I mean, when we listen to it, you guys have heard me when we've talked about different groups. I think so many of them sound the same that I just sort of go, especially with, no offense to the ladies out there, but the female singers, they've all seemed to got the same hook when you listen to them out there. So that's why I went with the B, because I like the variety.
I was just going to say, is that the singers in themselves, or is that them chasing what the commercial popular sound is? Or could that even just be done in engineering and post-production? Because I think you're right. I think every so often people chase a certain vocal quality and other artists are left by the wayside, or they don't hit that same point in like a cultural zeitgeist, or they don't catch the same sort of momentum because this is what's hot, baby. Give me what's hot. I want what I want, you know. I want somebody that sounds like Elvis. I want somebody that sounds like I want somebody that sounds like the Backstreet Boys. I want somebody that sounds like Britney Spears, Mariah Carey, Madonna, whomever is the it sound at the time. And I think we go through waves of that because I think there's artists in the 80s-ish that you could say once Madonna popped off, a lot of people that had a similar vocal quality to Madonna were also then kind of being pushed.
Yeah, I agree with you, Joe. I think you hit it on the head. Mr. Osborne.
So I will end up going with The Subway by Chappell Roan. So I'm not a Chappell Roan fan. Not to say that her music's bad, it's just extremely conflicting with what I'm used to. For those who don't know, I'm a huge heavy metal person, a big ska person. I love classic rock, love rock altogether, alternative, indie, all that kind of stuff. I'm just not that big of a pop person, which is interesting considering that Joe and Mark just had this conversation about what pop is. Chappell Roan just doesn't fit into what I'm used to, nor it's not something I'll go seek out. Chappell Roan for me is like Denny's. You don't seek out Denny's, you end up at Denny's, and that's kind of where I stand on her. But that being said, this song specifically from Chappell Roan feels very similar to something that was released by Derek and the Dominoes. Mark, it doesn't sound directly like Layla, but it gives me a lot of the same feels in a sense of it's two different songs in one. You have the first half of the song is a completely different song than what you have on the back half. The hook stays on for a long time. The chorus isn't even until the back half of the song. And to me, it was more than enough to actually get my vote for Category 7.
Yeah, and I mean, sometimes when we listen to songs nowadays, Joe will be one because you program so much here, Joe. The lead-ins will now seem like they take forever, and we're all going, okay, get to the song. I know the lead-in's part of the song, but Joe, that just drives us three sitting at this table crazy.
I want to say my personal feeling, I feel like that's a side effect of the whole bass drop fad. Because now you have to wait for the hook or the lead-in or the intro to end until you get that drop.
Yeah.
And the drop happens and then the song happens. And then sometimes that used to happen in the middle of a song with the lyrics, and then the song would kind of tonally flip or tonally switch. And now we're doing it in the intro, and sometimes it makes the intro take 30, 40, 45 seconds.
Well, I think and kind of going to what your point is there, Joe, how many times in 2009, 10, 11 did we have the equivalent of I like big buildups and disappointing drops just over and over and over, and it changed how music sounds? Because back in the day, for Layla, you'd be okay listening to two different types of songs. What's the song by the lead singer of Genesis? Phil Collins.
Mm-hmm.
His biggest song, I can't.
In the Air Tonight?
In the Air Tonight,
the drum
exactly.
solo?
The first half of that song is decisively different than the second half of that song, and it's something that at the time we'd be willing to wait for, because it wasn't often that you were going, okay, I have to wait 4.5 minutes to get to the change of this song. It was more of a rarity than it is now, and now you're seeing songs like, which is a big issue that I had with Wildflower, is that it never gets to the point until 3/4 of the way through the song. And this song specifically by Chappell Roan with The Subway, excuse me, I think does that well in a sense of, yes, it's two different songs in one, but that build-up only lasts for 5 or 6 seconds.
Speaking of two songs in one, welcome to two podcasts in one, where we have a podcast in another podcast. And I'm going to take a sidebar here to talk about, that was a fantastic drum solo from In the Air Tonight with Phil Collins, though. And that is a meaningful build-up, and he pays it off. And like you said, I don't think enough people pay it off. I think a lot of people do the build and they do the drop and they go, cool, checked it off the list.
We're done.
Yep.
We hit the mark. Doesn't matter how well we executed it. They're just doing it because it seems formulaic at this point.
Yeah. No disagreement there. So that's going to bring us to Best Duo/Group Performance. That is category number 8. And that is Defying Gravity by Cynthia Erivo. If I said that incorrectly, I am so sorry. And Ariana Grande. Golden by K-Pop Demon Hunters. Gabriella by Cat's Eye. APT by Rosé and Bruno Mars. And 30 for 30 with SZA and Kendrick Lamar. So I batted at the end of that last order. I'll go up again. And hearing 30 for 30 by SZA and Kendrick Lamar is probably what most people would think that I would go to, but I think if we're looking at it in just Best Pop Duo/Group Performance, my vote actually went to APT. So I think that song, again, I think it's really catchy. I think that the chorus ruins the song for me personally. But
the like kind of almost rappy
the
one.
AP or
Okay. Yeah.
I think lyrically and just the way that it builds up, and the bridge is really good too. I don't love that chorus. For me, it doesn't do the best. But in terms of looking at the performance of a duo, I think that Rosé and Bruno Mars actually pulled that off together really, really well, because Rosé, Mark, is not popular in our market. Plain and simple. She's popular overseas, but then you bring Bruno Mars into it, and it's not like what you see usually where a K-pop band comes over to the United States, has a big name as a feature, and you only hear them as backing vocals. Not Kendrick Lamar, but Bruno Mars has a significant portion to play in this song, and it helps tie it together. So I think they end up getting the vote for me. Gabriella was there as well. Honestly, 30 for 30, not the strongest choice for me personally when it comes to SZA and Kendrick Lamar. And then Golden was their huge song, as Mark and Joe mentioned earlier. And then a song that should never even grace any Grammy award whatsoever is Defying Gravity by the duo from Wicked. That was awful. So
Why?
Why?
Oh, the popularity of the song. This
Okay.
is what's really interesting, because Joe's brought it up, and we brought it up that it's business. It's about popularity. That's how groups make it. If nobody comes to see you, I don't care how good you are. No record label is going to touch you unless you do it yourself, and then you're going to do like in the old days, like the Hammer did, sell the CDs or anything else, the little disc or whatever you're doing it with, out of the trunk of your car trying to make money. It's about popularity. And when you look at Wicked, I mean, Joe brought up Wicked today before we got in the air, and Joe said, well, I saw this, I saw that. It's popularity. I don't necessarily look at Joe as being a person who would watch Wicked, but
dare
he
you.
did.
No, see, here's the issue. Here's why I say that it is terrible, Mark. Because if you're watching the play, it's a good song, but it's interrupted by multiple instances where they go back to the movie. This song
Exposition.
lasts, what's that?
A bunch of moments of exposition.
Yes.
But that's musical theater.
Yes, but here's the difference. If you go to a song like Popular, very literally as it is named Popular, that could be a song that I would be okay here, or be okay in this category here. But this is just not a song. This is a moment in a play, and I don't think that it just doesn't do it for me.
So you don't think it should be in the category? That's
No.
what bothers you.
That's what bothers me.
Yeah,
is
it's
that I
not
don't
the
think
song. It's just that song should not be in the category.
correct.
Okay.
I'm judging these categories based strictly on as if I didn't have any biases and came into this and said, I am a voter on this panel who is just going to look at the performances themselves. And I don't think this even fits in this category, but it was shoehorned in.
I'm going to go with similar to Ryan's argument. I don't think it fits. I don't think it's the best performance. They made the song their own as much as they could, but this song's kind of had its moment already, and that was a great moment by the original cast that sang the song, and they sang it fantastically. It's had its moment. Their song is good. I would not call it great, and I think there's a lot of other standout songs on this list that me personally I would go for. But because the song was so big 10-ish years ago, I think there's also a nostalgia pull, and I could see this running away with it. Ariana Grande's hot. It's artists that are contemporary doing stuff, and I mean, she was starting to fall off relevancy a little bit,
Extremely.
and then I think this catapulted her back up to being a hot act on the scene.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you on that. Mark?
Well, I'm going to go with Golden, but here I'm going to go back to you, Ryan, because we talked about it. We said, are these duos? I mean, or is it a
says
group?
Duo/group
Yeah.
performance.
And
right.
it's group performance. I'm going to go back with that. And again, I'm going to go back with the popularity and the feel that I watched all of you when the song was playing. Everybody did the little rhythm thing in the room. So it wasn't like one of you said, yeah, that's really good. It was a group sing-along that in your minds that you went for. I watched Lily, who's younger than Ryan and Joe, so it was generational, And that's where I look at duos when you look at them, or pop groups. You've got to look at, is it generational? Are songs generational? I mean, I'm so freaking old in this room that half this stuff you guys listen to, I don't necessarily, and Ronnie Dickinson, who still works in music, Ronnie will say too, dude, this is not the music of my day and I can't get into it. But you guys do. But I watched with that song, everybody in this room sort of picked up on it, and so that's why I go to it.
Let's swing it over to Lily.
I will have to agree with Mark on this one. I think Golden, I mean, the point of the song and the movie is that they're a group. Actually, hearing the song is what got me to watch the movie, because I don't know, I just kind of felt like whatever about it. I thought I could go on without watching it, but I thought the artist actually performed it or something like that. And I don't know, I just love hearing their voices come together, and I think that just makes it a really strong song, as so many people online think too. So, and even though I love 30 for 30, I don't know, like Ryan said, I don't think it's the strongest collaboration between SZA and Kendrick.
Joe?
So I am going to go with Golden is a great pick to pull, but I don't think it quite does it for me. It's a great song. I think it's one of the leaders in this category, but having a small child, small human daughter, and doing dishes and having songs being played while I'm doing dishes, and the amount of times that I've listened to APT 5 or 10 times in a row. And does it become tedious a little bit? Yeah, but it's never not a fun song. It's got that bubblegum pop stickiness to it. And then, like I was saying with Ariana Grande and Defying Gravity, I think this is how we got Bruno Mars kind of catapulted back into relevancy a little bit. He had the fall off. He left and did other projects, residencies, didn't really do anything musically, I don't think, at least that I was aware of. Wasn't putting out singles or albums for
He hadn't
for
released in a while.
Yeah, and this got everybody aware of Bruno Mars, and it also is a pick for me, and I know we're not judging the music video, but the energy in that music video looks infectious. It looks like a fun video that they shot. They look like they had a ball, and it looked like it would have been a great, fun set to be on.
So that brings us to the best rock performance. And Joe, you know what? I'm just going to keep it with you here.
Well, we're going to go with, what is it? Butcher the name. We're going with Miss Williams over here with...
Mirtazapine?
There we go. Thank you, Ryan. You saved me. Yeah, we're going with Miss Williams here.
So Haley Williams is the pick for Joe. And you know what? Since we both have the same pick, I'm going to roll with that as well. Because the other names on there were You Should Not Be Doing That by Emil and the Sniffers, and that was categorically awful. The Emptiness Machine by Linkin Park.
It was okay. It
was
not
okay.
as bad
It
as
wasn't-
everybody wants to make it out to be.
Yeah.
But it wasn't Linkin Park, and it
I
didn't
agree.
do it for me.
Yeah, Never Enough just seemed boring. And if you watch their music video, they seem bored. And I'm going to stay with that. They're going to be boring. And that also brings us to Changes, which is the live version from when they were playing a show at Villa Park Stadium, back to the beginning. Youngblood featuring Nano Betancourt. And again, I go with Mirtazapine because I think it was catchy. I think it was classic Haley Williams. The other thing, too, is that, Joe, you and I both noted the start of the song starts with her sounding different, heavy processing, a little bit more synth in the background, and then it drops to Haley Williams, and you're like, okay, this is the classic, not Paramore, but this is a classic Haley Williams project. So that's it for me. I will bring it over to Lily this time.
I'll go with the same choice. I'll go with Haley Williams' song. I thought that it was a song that I would listen to out of all these choices. Youngblood's Changes, I thought it was interesting, but it felt like we kept skipping through it to see like when it would pick up or when it would really hit, and I don't know, I just felt like it never really did. So, yep, that's what I choose.
So that's 3 for Mirtazapine by Haley Williams.
Oh,
Mark?
it's not a clean sweep.
One of us.
Because I'm
One
going
of
to go with Youngbloods, because what do you look at when you look for rock? And rock is going to be what in your mind. I know it's different for everybody, but when I look at rock, I look at it at a different point. I sort of like the feel of the group when I saw them. I like the way they present themselves in the piece that I saw, even though it was a music video. And so if I was going to go buy a ticket out of all the groups that we looked at, this would probably be the first ticket I would buy. So that's why I went with them.
So there you go. Changes by Youngblood for Mark. And that will bring us over to Best Metal. So I'll go last on this one because I know that this one is more of a me category. But you've got Night Terror by Dream Theater, Lacrima by Ghost, Emergence by Sleep Token, Soft Spine by Spirit Box, and Birds by Turnstile. Lily, I'll bring it to you.
I have never heard any of these songs before. The only name I knew was Ghost, and when I heard that song, I liked it the most out of all of them. And I'm sorry, like the Sleep Token one was kind of. I would like to never hear that again.
Mark?
I'm going to go with Night Terror out there with Dream Team. So I'm going to do that. Again, that's somebody who did I get the
Dream Theater.
Dream Theater. Well, maybe that's why
Yeah,
I
of
took
course.
them.
There you go.
That's
Because
probably why
Mark
I
with
took
the
them,
theater.
because it's theater. But again, it's somebody that would I be if I was at my home and I wanted to listen to music, would I put them on and get through my Sunday and everything, and the music would help me get through the day? Yes, I would listen to it as that spiritual medicine, and that's why I went with that group.
Joe?
I'm going to go with Lacrima from Ghost. Something about, and I think I've talked to you about this in the office and around the station before. There's something about them that gives me a 69 Eyes or a hymn kind of vibe with their instrumentation and how they play. It's not just hard, heavy metal. It almost, at times, doesn't feel quite metal. It feels like hard rock.
Yeah.
With the solos and the, I want to say crunchy guitar. It's not a crunchy guitar though, but you get what I'm saying. The aggression in the music. It's not that metal screaming. I feel like there's, and I'm not trying to stereotype all of metal here, but it's not that screaming thing. It feels like there was thought put into, we're metal, we're heavy, we're hard, but everything has meaning still. And everything has a point. It's not just loud to be loud. It's not aggressive to be aggressive. We're almost telling a story still, kind of.
No, I think I'm with you there. And when you look at my pick is pretty obvious. This is where my bias definitely comes in. Ghost is going to be my pick. You look at Birds by Turnstile, real quick song, very heavy metal, but it's very bland. Soft Spine is kind of what you're talking about there, Joe. It's very screamo. It's literally you're screaming. You're not, unless you can really understand what the lyrics are and you can really understand what the person is screaming about, you're not really going to get into it. Night Terror by Dream Theater was actually going to be my second choice. I like Dream Theater. I've seen them live on multiple occasions. They're not quite black metal, but they're a little heavier than what you would expect from heavy metal. If you're thinking to yourself, okay, heavy metal is what I anticipate to be a Metallica or an Iron Maiden, Dream Theater is south of that. That's closer to black metal. It's closer to the death metal. You know what? I'll say it's actually closer to death metal than it is to black metal. And then Emergence by Sleep Token, I said it when I played it in the office for you guys. Sleep Token is probably one of my most hated bands that is out there at the current moment. I cannot stand their discography. I cannot stand how they sing, their lyrics. Very Kendrick Lamar. I hate the way that you talk, the way that you walk, the clothes that you wear. Same thing with Sleep Token for me. Nothing about them does it for me. That being said, to judge them objectively, it's not their best song. They have another song on that same album that is better that could have gone into that spot. So Lacrima by Ghost is my pick.
So if you've got free tickets to the group Ryan doesn't like and you want to send them to Ryan Osborne, care of Hornet Radio, he'll take them just because he wants to see if he's wrong.
There you go. There you go. So that brings us to Best Rock Song. And you know what? I'm going to let Joe lead off on this one.
All right. So we've got As Alive as You Need Me to Be from Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross. Caramel from Vessel. Glum from Daniel James and Haley Williams. Never Enough from Daniel Fang and Franz Lyons and Pat McCroy. Meg Mills and Brandon Yates as well on that. And then Zombie from Dominic Harrison and Matt Schwartz. Wow, that was hard. No wonder you gave me this one. Whew. Since I let off, I'm going to take the top of the batting order as well, I suppose. And surprise, surprise, I'm going with Miss Williams yet again. We're going to pick Glum.
Sounds good. So Glum is Joe's pick. Mark, let's go to you.
I'm going to go with Zombie.
I'm sensing that Mark's a big fan of Youngblood.
So, yeah, I'm with them. I do. I appreciate their music. I like what they do, so that's my choice.
For my pick, it's going to go right back to Hayley Williams, just like Joe. I think lyricism or lyrically, Glum was there for me. And then, again, a classic Hayley Williams project, a little bit of a twist at the start. If Hayley Williams is up there, I'm usually going to go there. So, Lily, go ahead.
I'll also go with Glum. I think that one stood out the most. I would listen to it the most, so that's my choice. Can I complain about a song? Is that fine if I complain about one?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, go ahead.
Well,
Here's
the
your
one-
soapbox.
Thank you. Well, the one I will have to complain about is As Long As You Need Me to Be. This is for the movie Tron Ares, which I was interested in. I was like, okay, well, we don't have Daft Punk, but we have Nine Inch Nails, right? It did not live up to Daft Punk's former music. And also, Trent Reznor, he did the Challengers soundtrack, and that was amazing. And, like, it carries the energy of the movie, so I don't know what happened between then and now, but this was just, no, it was not good.
No, you know what? I'll join you because I'm a huge Tron fan. I love the original Tron from the 80s. I'm also a huge Tron Legacy fan. I had a lot of high hopes for that Tron movie, and specifically, I had a lot of high hopes for the soundtrack because the soundtrack, Mark, you probably know more than I did, but the soundtrack actually won multiple Oscars because of how good the soundtrack was and how well it played up and matched with that movie. And the way that Daft Punk was able to match it to the grid and the feelings of the grid and what it was like, especially D-Rezzed, I believe it was, that ended up winning one of the Song of the Year awards for movies as well. That was such a great soundtrack. And then to go to Nine Inch Nails, I knew it was going to be different. I had a lot more high hopes. There were points in that movie where you listened to the music and you went, this has nothing to do with what this movie is about. And I think that this song specifically, As Alive As You Need Me to Be, it plays during a really important part of the movie. And this song is just bad. Plain and simple. It's just bad. So that brings us to alt music performance.
Well, I just
And-
realized I'm also bad. I listed all the songwriters and not the groups they're part of.
that is completely
Well, that's okay, Joe, because all three of you agreed, and that just shows you how everything is bad on the left side of the room, but we're doing very well here on the right side of the room. That's,
So that brings us to Best Alternative Music Performance. Everything is Peaceful Love by Bon Iver, Alone by The Cure, Seeing Stars by Turnstile, Manje 2 by Wet Leg, and then Parachute by Hayley Williams. And I'll start with Lily.
I thought Wet Leg song was really interesting, but I haven't heard it enough, so I can't go with it. So my choice, this might be because I've heard it so much every day I come into work, but Parachute by Hayley Williams. I don't know. I really love that song, and because of hearing it so much, I actually added it to my main playlist, and I don't know. I love her comeback. I love her music, so.
Mark?
You know what? I can't say much more. I agree with you on this one. And, you mentioned The Cure. I thought I might go that direction, but I went with Hayley Williams.
On my end, I'm actually going to grab a soapbox real quick and go, my goodness, The Cure is a fantastic band, but that may have been one of the worst things I've
Yeah.
ever heard from
Yeah.
them ever. We went about 3/4 of that song looking for lyrics and looking for them to sing something. And the next thing that we got were 2 words and then another 25 seconds of
It
silence.
was disappointing,
It
wasn't
was
it? I mean, it wasn't
severely
The
disappointing.
Cure.
Right.
I don't know what it was. That's what bothered me.
I mean, am I mistaken? The Cure is Friday I'm in Love? No. That's someone else. I'm thinking of someone else. But nonetheless, The Cure, you have a lot of high hopes for The Cure because just of how much of a legacy band they are. The 80s,
Yep.
early 90s as well. They dominated charts. There's a lot of alternative that goes. I mean, obviously they are an alternative band, but they dominated the alternative genre, and that was just flat out disappointing and sad.
Yeah.
I wanted to go Parachute because, like Lily said, it's one of my more favorite recent Hayley Williams projects. We do hear it a lot here on the station, if I'm not mistaken. Joe, you can correct me if I'm wrong. Joe's a big Hayley Williams fan as well, but I'm going to go with Manje 2 by Wet Leg, not because I love it, but because it plays as the main theme song to a hockey show that is on HBO Max called Heated Rivalry. Now, I'm not going to suggest anyone go out there and watch it because, wow. But you mentioned hockey, and that's where my vote's going to go every time.
That's fair. Once again, going to round it out with a vote for Miss Williams, and we're going to go with Parachute over here.
So Haley Williams with a very, very good showing in our preview for the Grammys, which gives us just about 5 minutes left. Guys, and Lily, you look over.
Oh, HR.
No, it's that I looked over at Mark and said, guys, and realized I was ignoring the entire left side of the room with Lily and Joe. But you look at this entire list. Was there anything really that kind of stood out from everything that we ended up going back and listening to? I'll leave it open to anyone.
No, not to me. Of course, guys, I'm the old guy in here, so and Lily knows because she does our song list all the time, and I will bring up the people from the past. Not that I live in the past, but I appreciate the music of the past, and so I have real hard times with looking at recreations. How many times have we all sat in a room, Joe, and said, didn't they steal these chords from? Where did this come from? And I don't feel that old vibe of rock and roll. I don't feel those different generations. Corey, if we were talking about rap music right now, Corey Nealon would take us back in years and basically go after all the DJs and rappers and everybody else that come out there and say, look at it, it's not the same. I'm not into this music genre right now. I don't see anybody that I don't think, and I'm going to go to Clayton Payne will always say to me, Uncle Mark, there is no sustainability in the industry. Realize in the old days, you didn't just last 3 years. You lasted for 35 years. I don't know if any of these people will last for 35 years.
You know what? That's kind of an interesting topic, and one that we may be able to do as a standalone podcast here on the station later on is there any originality anymore? Or has the industry just decided that, you know what, we're going to go to samples, and samples is where we're going to live. We're going to take 3 to 4 seconds of this song, 3 to 4 seconds of that song, build a new song, quote-unquote new song, and very much like you hear from the Doechii single, that could have been a standalone song. It didn't need that Gautier song, but yet it still uses it, and it doesn't use it to its best effect. Is there any originality left?
Well, and it's a lot of trend chasing as well, right? I thought what the heck happened to my voice there? I need to drink some more coffee. Nothing really stood out to me. Everything was fine. Everything was all right. I had the songs that I liked or that I gravitated towards. But this is another one of those years where I feel like I was telling you guys, and especially during the summer, I was like, I'm waiting for the summer songs to hit, and I just feel like we didn't have that flood of music.
Mm-hmm.
And I think 2026 is going to be interesting because a lot of things going on. And I think it could spark some creativity. It could spark some interesting songs being created this year. And I hope art has interesting things to say about the times that we're going through. And I hope that we get some good art and storytelling out of it. And back to where you were, I think that's where the lack of originality is who has a voice and who's going to use their voice, and then who's just going to kind of chase a trend and do the safe stuff.
Lily, you float through the generations musically. You and I have talked. You enjoy some of the music I listen to. You enjoy some of the music. Joe and Ryan, you're not that much younger than Ryan, but Joe and I are a little older than you, and listen to our generation. But where is music going for the youngster, because you're the youngster in the group?
Honestly, I'm not sure. I mean, what Joe was saying, he's saying look forward to 2026 and new sounds, but so far the biggest trend has been 2026 is the new 2016, and most people online have just been, listening to songs again from 2016, so not even like new music, but just recycling or finding old music, which I think is great. Older music is, totally different from now, but at the same time, I feel like people are not just doing it because it's new, but because they can't find new music nowadays that speaks to them or that they would like to listen to.
So it's going to be intriguing to see what 2026 has to offer to us. We're going to do one of these next year just so that way we also get that recap and we get to kind of play on the 69th annual Grammy Awards that are coming up in 2027. Don't forget that we are going to have a little bit on the Oscars and the Academy Awards that are coming up as well, which is really going to
Super Bowl.
the big
Super
game.
Owl.
Yeah, the big game.
Super Bowl.
The big game
The
is
big game. Super
is
Bowl.
definitely
I
going
didn't
to
say
be
the last
covered
word.
here on Hornet Radio. But look out for that here on our YouTube page, and then also if you're listening online and listening on Spotify, Apple Music, or wherever you get your podcasts, we're going to have a lot more coming up here from Hornet Radio, because we do have many a thing coming up in the next few weeks. So for Lily, Mark, Joe, and myself, Ryan, you have been listening to a Grammy preview here on Hornet Radio.
Bye.